Hello. This was not the video I had planned for today at all. But one thing we focus on here on this channel is progress over perfection. Because if it were about perfection, I would have just given up at this point. I am grateful that I have the ability to just go live and that I'm someone that's actually comfortable with doing it. Everybody doesn't feel comfortable going live, but I talk to myself anyway. So here's what had happened was I am doing this video every day in August. And as a matter of fact, okay, I'll start by introducing myself in case you're just now coming across this in replay. My name is Alicia. This is Slasher Chick TV, where I like to talk about growth mindset and negotiation strategies. So you never have to choose between this or that. You can always say yes to this slash that. And I'm here doing this live stream so late, or late by my standards because I'm on Eastern time, because I was trying to upload my video for today. I've been trying to upload it for the last couple of hours. But have you ever watched a video that you're like, oh, not only did you make that, but you edited it and then waited for it to process and everything, like, and you actually posted that? That's how I felt about it. Not because the quality was bad, and quite frankly, I think my commentary was good. I mean, I am biased enough to like my own commentary. But it was the topic. I'm interested in the topic, but I've mentioned this previously. I watched some ratchet things on YouTube, okay? The ratchet thing I watched this evening was Carisha Please's interview. I was disappointed because I wanted to see if she would take any accountability for her, what I would consider just, if nothing else, less than sisterly behavior towards other women. And that apparently goes across the board, not just other women that were dating Diddy, but it would seem that it goes across to JT, or else y'all would still be in business. But I don't know. I was trying to find out if my bias was wrong. Now I'm getting warm too. You know what? I just got this new fan on Temu. Now might be the time to try it out because I just got to get this out. I have to get this video done today because it was a promise that I made to myself, a commitment to do a video every day in August. And so far, I have made it every single day. So today is not going to be the day that I fail. But I'm hot right now and I can't just disrobe on YouTube. So I need my fan. I don't know where I put my fan though. So we're just going to have to, okay. We're just going to have to go with it. So the title I put in here on these 22 lessons before my 44th year around the sun is one, because I am under 90 days away from my 44th birthday. And there were some things that came up the other day. I talked about it in a previous slide that I realized I have to continue to learn some of those lessons, or they evolve in how I learn them, as far as like not sweating the small stuff. That feels like a lifelong lesson. So I wrote down, all right, well, what are 22 things that I absolutely know to be true and that I've gathered on this in these 22 years, these 44 years. And what made me think about it was, number one, these are not necessarily in order of importance, but that's what's on my list, was what I was frustrated about this thing that was happening, which was just like bad customer service. And but it was like really bad customer service. But I just let it get me. I gave it way more energy than it deserved. I thought about it for more than a minute, and the fact that I'm talking about it now is already more energy. Hello, Nerva Black. I hope I do not think I pronounced your name correctly. Thank you. So the number one lesson is like, well, whatever is bothering you right now really matter 10 years from now. Because if the truth is no, like, just don't let it bother you. It's really that simple. Like, if you're getting frustrated about something, I have road rage when I'm driving. That's another good time to think about it. Like, if this person cutting me off right now is not going to have a huge impact in my life, why should I care? Lesson number 2. It took me a while to learn this, but you are a worthy child of God, and you deserve to be here. Your mere existence makes you worthy. Seitan is a meat substitute. So I don't know how you're that unless you are in a region that promotes cannibalism. And if you were trying to spell Satan as in what you were considering the opposite of God, you spelled it wrong. So, which leads me to number 3. To betray another in order to stay true to yourself. Because perhaps, let's say you got nothing better to do but like troll on the internet. Perhaps that's betraying even yourself. I don't know. That's just me. Lesson number 4. And this is something that I worked really hard to cultivate this. So I would hope that the people um, around me would feel that. But if you're alone, you should be able to enjoy the company you keep. And if you don't, there is something to diagnose there. I'm not sure what that means. I'm going to go with it. Maybe something that is spelled again incorrectly, but you could try it again. Which you're really helping me out here too, Norbert Blatt, or however you say it, because that leads me to my next lesson, which is, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Life is beautifully grotesque. You're gonna get a lot of beautiful things that happen in life, and you're also gonna get a lot of shit. And the purpose is to not pay attention to the shit as much as you pay attention to the beautiful things. Because they're not necessarily going to come in equal quantities either. Now, one other thing that I found helpful, number 6, was naming your critic. Like the inner voice that some of us have that tells us like we're not good enough or we can't do certain things or whatever, what have you. I like to give that critic a name so that when it shows up at a time that is not useful to me, I can just talk back to it. It makes it uncharged. It like helps the emotion discharge a bit. It loosens it up. Just naming the thing that's happening by separating your critic to yourself would lets you out off the hook. Yes, I do love. I don't know where these questions are coming from. Are you a bot, Norbert Blatt? But you really are giving me a good segue to all of my next points, because the next one is, don't try to be fearless. Be courageous. Completely fearless is like, it feels almost like an impossibility. So it will halt you. I know skippity toilet to the extent that I wish I did. Does that I know skippity toilet to the extent to have some idea of what children are talking about when I am trying to care for children that I love. But I don't get it. I really don't. Salty Swishy, I really hope you're over the age of 18 because it's late. Well, it's late on the East Coast. So I don't think you should be online. I'm not going to be able to use this live stream for anything. Okay. Yeah, but don't try to be fearless. Just be courageous. Fearless. And you know what? Our fear to some extent is helpful. Yes, I have $7,000. I think all of my answers to any of your questions moving forward are just going to be yes, because They are total non sequiturs. They have nothing to do with what I'm talking about or what even you were talking about the moment before that. So I'm just gonna go with a yes. And I'll get back to my point. I have no idea who. Well, I think this is what I think about Norbert Black QAnon. I don't think Norbert Black QAnon's a real person at all. I mean, well, I mean they could be, but I don't think the photo is a real photo. If anything, they like created a cheapy, like a dolly photo, or use ChatGPT make up fake names, or Nerva Black QAnon could be an anagram for some other name. I wonder what you could put that together. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's that. And which is funny, what I think about, like, say, for example, the comment from Why Use Cheats, which asks, would you rather watch a tree grow or a degrow? Like, I think that's meant to offend me or like hurt my feelings. But what it is doing right now is giving me watch time. And that's one of the things that I need right now on YouTube. So thank you, Why Use Cheats. I appreciate you for giving this Negro watch time. Now back to the lessons that I've learned in life. I'm sorry. That is so funny to me that, like, who are you? Anyway. Because yes, you know what? I think you've forgotten my next lesson where we are why use cheats. We are all walking miracles. Every single one of us, like the mere fact that you exist on this earth right now and have access to the internet and a computer and like have what little mental capacity that you still have available with which to ask your questions, that's a miracle, boo. And so we are all walking miracles, and one should remember that whenever you get down about life. Which brings me to my next one about when you do get down, just remember that grief is not linear, or any suffering for that matter. It will, there will be ebbs and flows of suffering in life. And sometimes when you think you've moved past it, you can be brought back. But I will just go back to what was, I think, number 5, that life is beautifully grotesque. Remember to focus on the beautiful moments and not the grotesque ones. Why use cheats? I hope you are still here giving me watch time, baby. Because wherever you go, there you are. Like, for example, if you're someone who got nothing better to do, the troll on the internet, I think you probably bring that same energy to everything that you do in life. Like, you have no actual value to add, so that's what you do. Well, that's probably not a nice thing to say. I'm sorry. That's not me being empathetic to what that person might be going through. Like, because your life is actually probably pretty miserable too, if that's like the best thing that you can find to do right now. But again, wherever you go, there you are. So keep that in mind, because pain is inevitable, but the growth is optional. I personally have experienced a lot of pain, some that I caused myself, some that may have been caused by others. But whether I chose to grow from that and learn, be able to not experience that pain again, that was all up to me. So pain is inevitable, but the growth is optional. I love you too, Nervabat Kwan. So my this one, this sounds insensitive, but and most of the time when people say this to other people, maybe it feels a little insensitive when you say, "But did you die though?" Right? Like, things have happened in life that maybe weren't the best thing. Maybe were really traumatic events that you're like, "Oh, I really wish I'd never went through that." But did you die though? Because if we're still sitting here having this conversation, obviously not. You survived it, so you have 100% success rate of surviving the worst of your life. I know that because you're here. So That's nice that you're 40 years old. Congratulations for surviving 4 decades on Earth. This shit is no joke, and none of us get out alive. So where was I on my list? So oh yeah, I was on, but did you die though? Okay. So the stories we tell ourselves most of the time when we're upset about things, like when we're worried or anxious about things, it's all about the stories that we're telling ourselves, right? The things that we're concerned about that maybe happened in the past and the stories that we've made up about that, or things that we're worried about might happen in the future and the stories that we've made up about that. But either way, it's the past and it's done. So whatever meaning it has is the meaning or story that you assign to it. And if it's the future, it hasn't actually happened yet. So you don't know if that's possible. So either way, you're just making shit up. So if you're gonna make up stories, make up the stories that you want to happen until you have reason to think otherwise. But the key here was, because maybe everybody's not ready for that, but at the minimum, just pay attention to the stories that you're telling yourselves. Like, I could tell myself a story. Well, actually, I made up a story already about Norba Black Kwan. I don't know where these comments are coming from, and so I made it the story that Norba Black's a fake bot. And maybe the bot's getting a little bit better. But the story I've made up is when you say I love you, I'm going to say I love you too, because I do love love. And I think my purpose in life is to be and express love. So I just try to do that in the many different things that I do. That feels like a tangent. Oh, no, it's about the story that I'm telling myself. Okay, so the next lesson I learned, and if you have never heard of Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, I highly recommend that book. Uh, but when I came across it, it was only a Medium article. And so the next lesson I learned was just well, you'll be much happier if you give less F's. And I started doing that, and it just made my life so much better. So, um, just remembering that because this life is limited, I will not get out alive. And so I only have a limited amount of energy and effort and stress or strife to give to things, period, because this time is finite. So I want to have the F's that I give about things be the most important and most beneficial to me. And if they're not, like, that's a waste of an F. And I got a finite number of F's to give in this lifetime. So that's the whole crux of Mark Manson's book, but I still recommend it. And you might even like the movie, uh, but that's neither here nor there. Okay. This one's a cliche. It's a cliche, but it's true. Okay. It goes with the stories we tell ourselves, etc. Because the past is history, the future is a mystery. Today is a gift, and that's why it's called the present. Honestly, if you could just repeat that to yourself, you'll always be recentered, I think. Um, okay, this one's another good one about just stress. It's always either too early or too late to worry. Like I said, with the stories that we tell ourselves, it's either hasn't happened or it already happened, and you actually just need to act and respond to what's going on. What gets measured gets results. This is another reason why on my channel I wanted to start doing like the 12-week year. And just figuring out other ways that for things in my life that I want to make progress on, I need to start by being better at the measurement of it and measuring and evaluating where I'm at versus where I'd like to be. So in anything that you want to do, what gets measured gets results. Oh, okay. This one was one I got from Dr. Seuss. Those who care don't matter, and those who matter don't care. So, in other words, those who love you, like, your vibe's going to attract your tribe, and those who care for you and love you will accept you as who you are. And those who don't, they're not your people, and that's okay too. They'll go find theirs. Oh, my next one was your vibe attracts your tribe. That's funny. Okay, here's another one. This one was a hard one for me. But again, I think my life changed. My life definitely changed knowing this is that you are 100% responsible for your outcomes. And I'm not saying that there aren't circumstances that make things harder for other people, etc. But you can't make excuses for yourself in those circumstances. Your outcomes, you're responsible for. And though those circumstances might be factors and could limit the outcomes that are possible, what you're responsible for your outcomes 100%. This one I've only recently evolved in my thinking, because I used to just accept that joy was my birthright, but I really believe this firmly for all of us. Bliss is your birthright. I think even the word joy doesn't fully encapsulate what is intended for us to experience in this life experience, um, because happiness is a choice. It really is. And that's not to say that there aren't times where people have legitimate chemical imbalances or traumatic life events that lead to mental health disorders that make them depressed. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that what we choose to focus on can determine whether we are happy or miserable in regular life circumstances, and happiness is a choice, like in so many ways. That's one we can debate over if you don't believe me. Because feelings aren't facts, they're data and they're information. But because happiness is a choice, like then we get to choose what we do with that data or information and how we respond to it. It's never too late to start. I know it may feel like windows of opportunity pass you by, or things you wanted aren't necessarily going to happen for you. And maybe it won't look exactly like you wanted to in terms of the outcome that's possible, but it's never too late to start, whatever it is. Everything's always working out for you, and it's always working for your good, whether you realize it or not. If you wanted to, you would. That's one that we typically use for dating, right? Like if he wanted to, he would. Okay, well, girlfriend, if you wanted the goal that you keep saying for the last 5 years, you would. I'm girlfriend. I was talking to me. And lastly, and this one is one that I just really encapsulated. And I think this one really hit home at the end of doing this 90-day live stream challenge. Is that I used to have a negative connotation attached with the word discipline. And it wasn't until I completed that 90-day live stream challenge and saw the results that discipline brought and how it made me feel about myself. And I realized that discipline is an act of radical self love. And that has really shifted the way I look at how I give myself the gift of discipline in my life. And in doing so, that's why I had to force myself, after trying to record and edit that video and upload it, and it just not going right and not feeling right, to say, you know what, I'm going to scratch it. I'm just going to go live so that I still do my video for today. But I'm not going to do anything that doesn't feel authentic. And so I will disappoint others to betray. I won't betray myself right now. I can't. So that's why we're here on this live stream. Those are the 22 lessons before my 44th year around the sun that I have learned and wanted to share with you. And maybe I'll do a little bit more on some of those over the course of the next month, since I'm doing a video every day in August. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please do. And if no one else told you today, you are more than enough. And I love you.